Hello and welcome to the Windows Server Summit. The title of this session today is Harden Security and Build Resiliency with Windows Server 2025. My name is Jeyaraman. I work as a program manager at Microsoft. I will be joined by my esteemed colleagues and co-speakers, Dona Mukherjee, Sufen Fong, and Hilal Asmat. I will give you a brief overview of Windows Server security capabilities, and my co-speakers will talk to you in depth about some of the areas like security baseline, application control, VBS enclaves, and secure core. With Windows Server 2025, we introduced a tailored security baseline, and we continue to improve on that. With application control, you have the ability to restrict the applications that run on your system. We have made a number of improvements to Kerberos. For instance, we have deprecated or removed weak cryptography like DES, and we are driving towards adoption of strong cryptography like AES and post-quantum cryptography. With delegated managed service accounts, or DMSA in short, we have gotten rid of the need to use passwords with service accounts. And we continue to improve various security capabilities, including in the area of kernel and driver security. When you enable Azure Arc on your Windows Server, you can more tightly integrate with a number of Azure services. For instance, you can use Azure Policy to do a compliance assessment of your Windows Server against industry standards and security baselines. And you can do that at scale across your entire fleet. And with drift protection capability, you have the ability to automatically move the system back to a golden state, even as the system configuration tends to drift over time. And with Microsoft Defender for Cloud, you can continuously monitor your Windows Server. You can get security alerts and take remediation actions. With Microsoft Sentinel, you can do advanced threat hunting. Many of the security capabilities that we have already built and will continue to build, they rely on a strong hardware security foundation. In other words, without a strong hardware security foundation, we cannot have meaningful security at the operating system layer. To that end, we work closely with industry partners through the Windows Server certification program and the Secure Core program, and aim to raise the bar on hardware security capabilities. We will certify Windows Server 2025 for both FIPS and common criteria. You can read more about the various security capabilities in Windows Server 2025 in the Windows Server Security book. You see the link on the screen, and also the Windows Server Security book is part of the public documentation for Windows Server. Next, Donna is going to talk to us about security baselines.
So, hi, I'm Dona Mukherjee. I am a program manager from the Edge security team, part of Azure Edge and platform organization. I'm going to talk about both security baseline and application control. So I'll just get started with security baseline right now. The cyber attacks have been a big threat for all the enterprises. And what we are realizing that we need to have guardrails at the OS layer itself, and that can be operating system new features or can be a baselines with very prescribed settings and what should be the recommended values. So what we did was we looked into all the published baselines by Microsoft for earlier versions of Windows Server. And we also looked into the recommendations from governing bodies like CIS and STAIC and came up with our own exhaustive list of baseline for each server role types, taking advantage of the new features and capabilities offered in Windows Server 2025. So currently you will see that we have 3 baselines for workgroup, member server, domain controller for each server role types. And then we also collaborated with Microsoft Defender for coming up with a set of settings, a definition for Windows Defender antivirus. And then we came up with a definition for secured core. So what are the new highlights or enforcements, as we call it, in the new baseline definition? One is secured core, UEFI MAT, secured boot, signed boot chain, for example, more account and password policies, security policies and security options, protocols, making sure TLS is enforced 1.2 plus, SMB 3.0, Kerberos, AES, etc. And also credential protections like Credential Guard, LSAS, and PPL. And we understand that this is an exhaustive list of 300 settings, and I want to make sure that we build good confidence from customers' perspective so that they don't feel that their workloads can break because of this. So what we did is we did a due diligence of running a thorough app compat test with 400 plus applications, and we got received 99% pass rate. We also did a rigorous performance testing, tested and validated by Windows Server product group. And then what we did was, if you see on both the diagrams on the left side, you'll see that we actually received 96% of compliance with the STIG and 100% compliance with the CIS compared to the huge improvement from 2022. So now let's talk about Windows Server 2025 security baseline tools, because this is where we are bringing some new feature set. What we are doing is we have an inbox solution, which is a security configuration platform, which is natively integrated with PowerShell, such that IT pros can actually use PowerShell commandlets to apply the baseline simple and easy. It can be applied on both on-prem and Arc-enabled servers. We are also enabling Windows Admin Center experience to both apply and view compliance state. And for your Arc-enabled servers, you can also leverage Azure policy for monitoring compliance of your resources in cloud. And the main highlight is the drift control, where if there is any drift happening because of malice reasons or because of some other reasons, it can be still brought back to the original values through refresh at certain intervals. So essentially what you see is it's the same definition, many tools, and continuous monitoring. So I wanted to touch base a little bit about OS Config, which is the new configuration platform we are bringing in Windows Server 2025. What it is a stack of base CMDlets, native APIs, scenario definition, which are actually defining the desired state of a machine, which is document based. And also it is built on the common core engine of database management, which is actually used also by millions of Windows clients by being managed by Intune. So essentially now we have the same common engine between both Windows client and the server. So we can now take advantage of CSPs and providers, registry providers, for example, and all the goodness that comes out of our device management engine. Obviously, what we really wanted to bring is in server world, we see there are so many different kind of management tools. So we wanted to be a single broker across all the management tools such that we have better accountability of who, where, what, and when is doing what changes. And at the same time, if there are multiple authorities which have and leading to conflicts, then how do we resolve it among the multiple authorities? And how do we do that through a precedence model? And also, if there are dependencies between the settings, we also ensure that you can now enable orchestration. It's also compatible with ADLS. There's no GPO dependencies. Of course, full support of .NET PowerShell compatible with both PS 5.0 and 7.0. It's compatible with sysprep. Once you apply, you can deploy multiple times. You can apply during both image creation, during runtime. And what we did is we also backported this for Windows Server 2022, so you can also have a similar experience for that version. So now I just want to quickly go over a demo for applying baseline through OS Config. You just install the module in one line, and once it's done, you actually set the security baseline of your choice, which is domain control or work group or member server. And once that, you can then apply separately the antivirus baseline. And then you can also apply secured core as a separate baseline definition. Once you're done, you can also look into the compliance state via using a get command. And you can also do that in any of your choice of tools. Here you can see an example of where all the reasons and everything is showing. If you are ARC enabled, then you can actually go to the Azure policy, machine config. You can go to your baseline for your machine, and then you can look into what is the state of your machine. For example, here you see it's 371 compliance, which is all your settings are compliant based on the definition. And then I wanted to quickly show you the WAC experience. You can actually download the security extension, and then you can go to the tabs of security baseline. So the left side shows you before baseline what was the compliance rate of my machine. And after I applied the workgroup baseline, which is via apply and maintain button, you can then see that this is 100% compliant. Want to quickly touch base on the silicon assisted security. This is a new feature through Windows Admin Center, where we are trying to bring up some parity with Windows Client, where you can actually go and see what are the Microsoft recommended values. So here you can see what are the silicon assisted security which is being offered, and then what is the minimum recommended value from Microsoft, so that you can decide what steps you want to take. So now let's go to application control for business. So we all know that it's a security feature designed to manage and secure applications running on managed Windows devices. It really helps preventing unauthorized applications from running and protects the OS from untrusted execution of binaries. That's the main goal, so that sensitive data and operational efficiencies are not impacted. And then the main three features are you can now use OS config to really enable WDAC in a very simple PowerShell commands. You can then get easy to get insight with the new Azure Monitor workbook, and then you can do easy integration with WDAC Wizard to refine your policies further. So if I quickly go over the customer journey, basically in day 0, you deploy the Windows Server 2025, and then you deploy the base policy, which is offered by Microsoft in either audit or enforce mode, and using OS config. And then in day 1, you can start seeing the audit events which are generated locally on the systems when the apps are not trusted. And then you can use Azure Monitor to egress the data to the cloud, and then use Azure Monitor Workbook to get insights for audit or block events. And then on the 10th day or nth day, you can export the relevant data to Excel, then use the WDAC wizard to ingest a workbook, and then you can craft a new policy. And you can also add supplemental policy or use your policy. So a quick snapshot of these are the audit policies and enforce policies we are bringing in Windows Server 2025, and a quick demo. What we are basically showing here is we are leveraging OS config to first install it and then apply the app control policy. And after that, we are making sure that we can also list and see what are the properties of those policies. And once we can actually support XMLs, zip files, and also base code 64, both signed and unsigned policies. And if it gets drifted, if there's somebody who's trying to remove the policy, it can be reapplied because of the drift control. So basically, there is an intention to change it and take advantage of the situation. So that's pretty much from my side. Thank you so much for your patience, and I'll give it back to Sufen.
Hello, everyone. My name is Sufen Fong, and I'm a program manager with the Edge Security Group in Azure. Secure Core Server is a certification program that raises the security bar for servers. This program started in 2021 and has been applied to servers that are running on Windows Server 2022 and 2025. As part of the program, Microsoft partners with top OEMs such as Dell, Lenovo, and HPE to bring the latest security innovations and best practices from Microsoft to our customers. These security hardened servers from our OEM partners can be found in the Windows Server catalog for customers who are interested in procuring them. Procuring a secure core server gives you peace of mind, since they come with secure by default configuration, as well as a trusted runtime environment. Some of the latest security features in a secure core server include Secure Boot, Trusted Platform Module 2.0, amongst many others. These features help to fortify systems against common security concerns, such as escalation of privilege and data exfiltration, keeping your systems and your customers' data safe. If you would like to find out more about the Secure Core program, please send us an email at the following address. Or you can check out the Windows Server catalog to procure your Secure Core server today. I'm going to hand the time over to Hilal.
Hey everybody, my name is Hilal. I am a program manager on the Core OS team, and I'm here to talk to you about VBS enclaves. So a virtualization-based security, or VBS enclave, is nothing more than a DLL that is tied to a host application. Adding a VBS enclave to your regular application allows you to move sensitive data from the host application into the VBS enclave, where you can rely on VBS to keep your secrets safe. Data in a VBS enclave is hidden from the rest of the system, including the host application. So long as data remains inside of the enclave, it is protected. What makes a VBS enclave secure is that it leverages the underlying VBS environment, which is the same environment that Windows uses to secure a lot of its key security features today. VBS is an environment that has incredibly high standards for what is allowed to run inside it to ensure security. Enclaves, like all other entities in VBS, must be signed, and they support attestation to further security. Let's take a closer look at VBS enclaves. The diagram here showcases VTL, or Virtual Trust Level 0, and VTL, or Virtual Trust Level 1. As you can see, the host application of an enclave starts up in VTL 0, just like any other regular application. However, once the application needs to store secrets, it passes control over to the VBS enclave that lives inside of VTL 1. By using an enclave, you place your trust in VTL 1 and VBS, a tried and true security environment. I've mentioned that VBS enclaves leverage underlying VBS technology. Let's take a look at some other reasons VBS enclaves are secure. Let's look at some pillars. So Hyper-V is what creates and manages the partition VTLs mentioned in the previous slide. With the use of second-level address translation, we can maintain privilege and access levels, so VTL 0 can't look into or access VTL 1. The state of the platform and the enclave can be attested to with the help of Microsoft Azure attestation to ensure only the code you expect is running and in a trusted environment. Lastly, only code signed by Microsoft using Azure Code Signing is permitted to run in an enclave. This includes loaded DLLs into the enclave. An enclave signature is checked when control is handed to VTL1. So let's do another TLDR on VBS enclaves. A virtualization-based security, or VBS enclave, is nothing more than a DLL tied to a host application. VBS enclaves allow you to secure data in use, and you leverage VBS guarantees to improve your application's overall security, and you place your trust in VBS. VBS enclaves are available on Windows Server 2025 and Windows 11 24H2. All right, thank you, everybody. Thank you for attending Windows Server Security Summit. Thank you on behalf of myself and all my colleagues, and have a great rest of your day.